Hi, this is Wanda from Alanda Craft, and today I've got a really easy project for you. This is a Quilt As You Go baby quilt. Now the beauty of Quilt As You Go is when you get to the end of the quilt, you've already quilted your backing, your batting and your main pieces all together. So let's get started. So you're going to need some strips of fabric, and we've chosen 7 different fabrics. Now we bought 1/4 metre of each of these. That's about 1/4 yard for our American viewers. And we cut each of those pieces of fabric into strips, and they go from about 1.5 to 4 inches. Now I wouldn't go any wider than 4 inches. You're also going to need some backing and some batting. Plus you'll need some fabric for your binding. Now all the measurements will be on the website. So let's get on and show you how we make this quilt. So the first thing you want to do is cut your batting and your backing. Now we're aiming for a finished quilt size of 40 by 50, but we've cut our batting and our backing to 42 by 52, and that's to allow for any distortion in the backing as you sew it, and we want to have a little bit of leeway when we get to the end and we need to trim up. So what I've done is I've cut the salvages off each end of each strip, and you can see that I've done that here. And now I'm just laying my strips out to get some idea of how I want them to look on my quilt. And now I need to make sure that I have enough strips, because remember you're going to lose 1/4 inch on each side. So you lay them out and make sure you've got plenty of strips for your quilt. And you're also going to get an idea of how it looks, and you can change your strips around so you have them how you like them. And then you can just put the strips in order so that you know how they are. Or you can actually take a photo of this with your iPhone or your smartphone, and that will keep you on track as you're building your quilt. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to put our batting and our backing pieces together. So we place our backing face side down, and we put the batting on top. Now we've put a few pins in here, but you can use an adhesive spray if you like. Now we take our first strip, and we want these to all be even at the top here. So we want them all to be straight, and we're going to lay it all the way along. So remember, backing face down, batting, strip face up. 1/4 inch seam, and I'll go and sew that now. Okay, so I've sewn this first strip on with the 1/4 inch seam along the top, and don't worry about the fact that that seam is here. That's all going to be caught up in the binding. Now we take our next strip and we place it face down onto that strip, so we have right sides together, and we're going to sew along here with the 1/4 inch seam. So when that's sewn, it'll open up like that, and in between each of these we're going to iron them down before we put the next strip on. Okay, so I've sewn the second strip on. You can see here I've used a 1/4 inch seam, and I've sewn that to the first strip. I'm just going to give that a press, and I'll press it all the way along, of course, and open it up, press it this way. Now when you're sewing, just make sure that you keep bringing your backing down, so just keep doing this to make sure that that backing doesn't bunch up. You can see already we're starting to get that quilted effect. So that's going to finish that off nicely. We won't have to do anything more to it. So once I've done this, I'm going to add my next strip. And again, laying it flat face down. Okay, and I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam all the way along. So when that opens up, I will iron it. When it opens up, it looks like this. And you continue doing that now all the way down with your strips. And that's all there is to it. So I'll continue to do that, and then I'll come back and show you what to do next. Now you can see that I'm getting quite a way down my quilt now. I'm about 3/4 of the way through, and so I have all this bulk of material here which I've started now to roll up. So if you have a small machine, you're going to have to start rolling that a lot quicker. I have a quilting machine, so I have a bigger throat, so it does hold quite a bit of material, but you want to have more control over your quilt as you go. So roll it up, and it'll make it easier to manage. Okay, so we've reached our last strip, and I'm just going to anchor it. So I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam all the way along here, and then we'll trim up the quilt. You can see here it's open at the moment, so just lay that flat and sew it. Okay, so I've trimmed up the bottom of the quilt and now I'm going to do the side. Now, by looking at what I've got to cut off, I'm going to take in 1 inch from the bottom. I'm going to line up the lines on the ruler with the seam lines on my quilt, so I know that everything is going to be trim and straight. And I'm going to take my rotary cutter and cut that. And then as I move up, I'll just move the ruler up and keep cutting. So I'll take that away now, and you can see because I've already started cutting. And that's going to leave us with a nice trim edge. Okay, so now we're going to do the other side. Now I flipped the quilt over. You can do it from either side, but because I cut this way, this is why I've flipped it over. I'm going to take about 1 inch off, and I've made sure that my ruler lines are running in line with my seam lines. So all should be good. Again, I'm going to just slice straight up and keep moving up the quilt until I have it all cut. So I'll do that now. So this is our baby quilt. Isn't it just gorgeous? It's almost finished. Now you can see we've got the backing on here and it's already quilted. We've got our lovely warm batting in between, and all we need to do now is the binding, and we'll do that in a separate video, and the link will be in the description below. So if you enjoyed that tutorial, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more great quilting tutorials.